You have no redeeming values. You're a coward.
The last words family members had to say to convicted Parkland school shooter Nicholas Cruz.
And we are glad to have you with us here at 5 on 10 Tampa Bay. I'm Josh Sidorowicz.
And I'm Courtney Robinson. The clock is ticking to Election Day, next Tuesday, November 8th. And candidates in highly contested races are making themselves seen all across the Bay Area. Today, Tampa Bay hosted political hopefuls from Governor Ron DeSantis vying to keep his seat to Democratic Senate candidate Val Demings, hoping to unseat Senator Rubio, plus a stop by Democratic candidate for Lieutenant Governor Carla Hernandez and Tampa's own state senator Janet Cruz. Political parties are working hard for a foothold in Tampa Bay, and it's important because of redistricting. District lines changed for 2022.
And right now, Governor Ron DeSantis is in Pasco County campaigning to hold on to his role as governor against Democratic challenger Charlie Crist. In 10 Tampa Bay's Shannon Close, she is live there in Trinity at the Starkey Market, where Shannon, he'll be speaking here at any moment.
There has never been a time.
Yeah, Josh, it really could be any minute, and you'll hear behind me, we have speakers just introducing him right now, but let me tell you, there is a big crowd, hundreds and hundreds of people out here who are awaiting him to take the stage right there behind me. They tell me they're out here supporting him over his Democratic opponent, Charlie Crist, because they say they like how he handled Hurricane Ian and his response. They also say they support his beliefs with being pro-life. They say that they liked how the state of Florida was open throughout the pandemic, so that's what brings them out here today supporting him. They can't wait to hear what he has to say on this campaign stop. He's been throughout the state campaigning, so we will be hearing from him literally any minute now when he takes the stage right there behind me. And of course, we'll keep you updated right here on air. I'm live in Pasco County. Shannon Clow, 10 Tampa Bay.
The candidates hitting Tampa hard shows you just how critical the Bay Area is and voters here in the Bay Area are in this upcoming midterm. 10 Tampa Bay's Eric Glasser spent the day with other high-profile candidates working hard to win your vote.
With just days to go before the midterm election, political experts say candidates need to be very selective about where they spend those remaining hours, targeting communities and regions they consider most important to their campaigns.
It's the people who crunch the numbers that tell the candidates where to go, and usually that's the I-4 corridor, because in Florida, that is still the switch swing persuadable voter.
And that, says 10 Tampa Bay political expert Lars Hafner, is why Tampa Bay is once again proving to be an election epicenter.
We're going to see them in the Tampa Bay area because that's where they think they can get the last few votes they need.
Thank you. Today, within hours of each other, candidates like Val Demings running for U.S. Senate, Janet Cruz running for State Senate, making appearances in Tampa's Ybor City.
The people will decide this election, right?
It is the most important right you will ever have in America.
A short time later, gubernatorial candidate Charlie Crist's running mate, Carla Hernandez, was making an appearance in Manatee County at a library in Palmetto. And shortly after that, Governor DeSantis was making his stop in Pasco County.
They know this is where the last few holdout voters are, and if it's a close race, this is where you have to be the most persuadable.
Hafner says while there are other large population centers like Miami-Dade, Southwest, and North Florida, the outcome of the election in those regions is all but a foregone conclusion. They know how folks there are going to vote. It's the communities that tend to favor a Democrat sometimes and Republicans at others that are considered to still be in play. And that, he says, is why you're likely to see candidates spending a lot of time here in the remaining few days. In Tampa, Eric Glasser, 10 Tampa Bay.
And our entire team is here to keep you informed and prepared ahead of the big election day. Right now, scan this QR code and I will take you to a link with our voter toolkit. You'll find information about candidates, races, sample ballots, and so much more. Right now, I want to take you to new information just coming into our newsroom. Take a listen.
The court imposes a life sentence with a minimum mandatory of 20 years Florida State Prison under Florida's 1020 life statute.
You just heard it there, sentenced to life in prison without parole. Parkland school shooter Nicholas Cruz formally sentenced. That was just moments ago for the death of 17 students and staff at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School 4 years ago. And this comes after what was another day full of family impact statements before the court. 10 Tampa Bay's Miguel Octavio joins us now in the studio with more. It was such an emotional day, Miguel.
It really was. A monster, an animal, a cold-blooded murderer. These were just some of the words parents expressed feet away from Nicholas Cruz. And today, one of the parents parents also sharing the horror he felt as he watched video of his own daughter being killed. Others talked of birthdays spent at a cemetery instead and the future life moments with loved ones that were so callously taken away.
You robbed Alyssa a lifetime of memories. Alyssa will never graduate from high school. Alyssa will never go to college. And Alyssa will never play soccer. She will never get married. And she will never have a baby.
You show no remorse. You have no redeeming values. You're a coward.
I would have wished you the love that I experienced before you led me to the experience of sitting in this courtroom and listening to a medical examiner tell me that my best friend's head was only held together by the skin of his scalp after you were done with him.
And we are stronger than the hate that you give. My name is Sam Fuentes. You will not forget me. You will not forget us, not until the last day that you breathe.
And now really a lot of tears in the courtroom here today. Families also criticize Florida law. The jury has decided unanimously on a death sentence. That has to be the case, but in this trial, jurors voted 9-3 for his execution. Miguel Octavio, 10 Tampa Bay.
It has been a turbulent 3.5 months in court for both the families impacted and the jury. To come to that final decision, we have been following the sentencing trial every step of the way. You will find detailed coverage online on 10tampabay.com. Developing right now, Tampa police are investigating after they found human skeletal remains on West Emily Street. This is West Emily Street. You can see right next to Woodlawn Cemetery. The department found the remains in a vacant lot just after 8:30 yesterday morning. Investigators tell us they do not suspect foul play. They're actively working to identify who this person was. The medical examiner's office or the University of South Florida will identify the gender and then determine how long this person has been dead. You can get updates from this investigation sent straight to your phone when you download our free 10 Tampa Bay app. We will send notifications as details come in.
Now to an update on last night's shooting that killed a man in Brandon. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office now says that they have arrested a teenager who apparently knew that man. Investigators say that they live in the same neighborhood. They got into an argument here on Harmony Lane. This is near East Brandon Boulevard. This happened just before 9 o'clock again last night. That's when deputies say the 16-year-old pulled out a gun and shot the man several times before taking off, according to investigators. He's now been charged with first-degree premeditated murder. And the sheriff's office says that the teen has a lengthy criminal history in Hillsborough County, including for burglary, grand theft auto, and resisting law enforcement.
A family is planning multiple funerals after a deadly crash killed 5 people, including 4 of their loved ones.
Like a part of, me is gone, Yeah, it's really, I felt really sad.
3 of the family members remain in the hospital at this moment, and you are going to hear more from that family coming up tonight at 6.
Developing tonight, the governor's office is appealing a judge's order to provide unredacted documents about the migrant flights to Martha's Vineyard. Just last week, you remember, a Leon County judge told the governor's office that they had until November 14th to turn over the records to the Florida Center for Government Accountability. Now, despite uploading 100 pages of unredacted documents on that state's website, the governor's office is accused of not releasing all of the requested documents. Newly posted court records show the governor appealed a circuit court order that required his administration to provide these records. So in doing so, placing a 48-hour automatic stay then on the judge's order. The notice did not detail the arguments that the governor's administration will make at the appellate court. The Florida Center for Government Accountability also filed a separate public records lawsuit against the Florida Department of Transportation and Vertol Systems, which is the company that flew the migrants. We are monitoring developments out of both of these cases. We'll bring you updates as we get them.
This Wednesday night, let's get you in the know with other stories making headlines. Hours ago, the Federal Reserve increased interest rates by 3/4 of a point. This is the 6th hike this year, the highest in 15 years. The hike will cause rates for loans and mortgages to rise, some say putting the country at risk of a recession. Coming up at 5:30, we're going to tell you what's encouraging the feds to pump up the benchmark interest rate and the potential relief that could be coming in the next few months.
The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office says this man, one of their employees, is now arrested after deputies say he hit his fiancee during an argument at home. Investigators say that the woman was left with a bruise above her right eye. The Sheriff's Office says 26-year-old Devin Machado was a non-certified forensic science specialist with the agency. He's now charged with domestic battery. Two of the largest U.S. pharmacy chains, CVS and Walgreens, have agreed to pay $10 billion today in total to settle lawsuits over the nationwide opioid crisis. Government officials say the companies filed prescriptions they should have flagged as inappropriate. Neither pharmacy giant admits to any wrongdoing. Walmart is also in these settlement talks. Red tide detected. The impact of elevated levels across beaches in one local county next.
Hurricane Ian forced companies to shut down, what a local commission is urging business owners to do to get back on their feet.
All right, to Sarasota County now, where health leaders are issuing another red tide warning. This comes just days after they lifted it, and you can see warnings now in place all the way from Venice Beach south to Minnesota Key.
Yeah, you can see them all right here. 10 Tampa Bay's Chris Rogers joins us now with a look at the impact on the economy.
Good evening. It's no secret the beaches here in Sarasota County are a major draw for tourists from around the country. And right now, most of them are still pretty crowded. That's because red tide warnings are only in place for a handful of beaches, and it's only been detected offshore. The good news is FWC is reporting no fish kill as a result of red tide over the past week, but there has been some reports of respiratory irritation in Sarasota County. And experts say if you are sensitive to red tide or feel symptoms yourself, you should get off the beach and get inside. Now, a major red tide event would deal a major blow for tourism and the local economy. I spoke with the vice president of Visit Sarasota County, and she told me it's something they're keeping an eye on.
Generally, what we have found with red tide is when it's impacting one area, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's impacting another area right next to it. That's why we so heavily rely on the Moat Beach Conditions Report, because it will give people live, real-time information.
As for what happens next with red tide, well, that all depends. Local marine researchers say what the ocean currents do over the next couple of weeks could make a big difference on whether or not the red tide moves up towards Tampa Bay. Reporting in Sarasota County, Chris Rogers, 10 Tampa Bay.
Whether you're planning your trip to the beach or you have some of those respiratory issues, it's important to check the red tide reports. You can find the latest as well as forecasts on myfwc.com.
Bringing Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins, seeing something we haven't in a while in a lot of spots. Rainfall, yeah.
Yes, Gabrielle in Seminole, she just sent me a message. She had a half an inch of rain in Seminole in the last hour or so. That's much needed rainfall.
I don't remember the last time where I'm at it.
Had to go back. I mean, it's been weeks for some locations. Yeah. Let's start on the radar there. So you can see now that we do have slow-moving showers and storms, too. Nothing really pushing them through, and it's almost like a high pressure is over top of us. It's kind of rotating them slowly, which means they're going to be slow movers throughout the rest of the afternoon hours. Now, the US 19 corridor is basically dry now. Everything's east of there, but you can see they're trying to build back just towards that area. I think 75, the veterans, those areas, obviously will have the better chance for some rain. They are starting to taper off, and that will be the trend through the evening hours, but I still keep some rain through about 9 to 11 o'clock tonight. Not a lot, but some. Not much for Pinellas and Hillsborough. A couple of showers. South St. Pete, this is just past downtown there. And then we're going to watch this area here just east of I-75 in eastern Hillsborough. Fishhawk to Brandon out towards almost to Plant City. I think you do have a small chance north of town. You can see everything kind of pushing off towards the east. And then the similar setup with the sea breeze line down here into Manatee and Sarasota County. Very few of us along the immediate coast are going to get any rain tonight in Manatee and Sarasota. Better chance will be here later this afternoon. So clouds from the day, the heating are starting to come down. That means so will our rain chances. But again, some showers through the evening hours. Boy, did it get hot. It is hot. 90 in Frostproof, 89 in Wauchula and Lakewood Ranch, 88 in Venice, Tampa, Riverview, 93 in Wesley Chapel. Now the sensor may be off a little bit, but it's in the it's about 90 degrees there as well too. 83 in Newport Richey. Nice little breeze coming in off of the water. Here's the forecast model. See how the rain by 6:30, 7 o'clock basically shifts inland. That's 11 o'clock. Most of the rain is out of our area, but a couple of showers left over. Natalie's right here in the Weather Center. She'll be tracking all this for you. Tomorrow morning, a little bit of patchy fog, mild again in the morning. But watch this. This is 2:30 in the afternoon. Isolated shower, 10 to 20%. Watch this come through. And you saw Chris talking about what the winds will do, what the weather will do for the red tide. Well, it's a north to northeast wind, and that will blow that water, those tides, down to the south and the west, away from Tampa, away from the Sarasota area. We've got a couple systems that are going to come through. I think we're going to actually be looking at more northerly winds for the next week and a half to 2 weeks, which would be good news for that. Here's tonight's planner. Down out of the 80s slowly into the 70s with scattered showers. Tomorrow, dry in the morning, very small chance for a shower. Best time 12 p.m. through about 2 p.m. Then drier air comes in the afternoon. Now, that comes in some breezes. So northeast winds go 10 to 15 knots. That's mainly in the afternoon. First half of the day looks good for boating. Look what the wind's bringing in. That's drier air. Dew points dropping through the 60s into the 50s tomorrow afternoon and evening hours. Boy, that's going to feel fantastic. Tropics, we've got Lisa making landfall right now in Belize with 85-mile-per-hour winds. Martin, don't worry about it's a hurricane when it's moving out. This area will develop an area of low pressure and drift it off towards the southeast. I think that gives us an east to northeast wind. This will take through Wednesday of next week at least to get out of here. After that, I think we really start to cool things down. So a little bit of dry air for us tomorrow afternoon into Friday. Friday, a beautiful day. Getting a little bit warmer and muggy over the weekend. Better chance for showers by the middle of next week.
Right now, Hillsborough County is accepting applications for its 2023 mini grant program, which is money that neighborhoods can use to make improvements, just like this one we're going to show you. This is in Apollo Beach, where today crews helped restore a beach volleyball court. They added an erosion protection and landscape to the park area. This program gives up to $5,000 of funding for neighborhood and community projects.
It's always fun to come out and also see and take advantage of something that's been put in place and how the community gathers and brings everybody out for the common good. And that's what we want to see with the neighborhood mini grants. We want to empower those neighborhoods to get together, to strengthen their neighborhoods somehow, and to bring that community out and get behind something that will make their neighborhood sparkle.
Civic, homeowners associations, and special taxing districts in Hillsborough County are eligible to apply for this. Deadline to do so is November 14th.
Still ahead, Giving Veterans Hope, a local nonprofit's latest push to support our service members who are struggling with trauma.
And months after this little boy was abducted tonight, you will see the reunion with his mother and hear how investigators were finally able to bring him home to Florida. For service members who have lost hope, Southeastern Guide Dogs offers their support free of charge.
It's an incredible organization in Manatee County. This nonprofit for years has provided struggling veterans with trained service dogs. It's actually been more than a decade that they've been operating. Hard to believe, and just changing the lives of so many. Well, today, Southeastern Guide Dogs aired its newest animated short. It's called Believe in Hope. In the holiday-themed story, Hope comes in the form of a four-legged furry companion. The nonprofit says this short is meant to encourage those who are struggling with post-traumatic stress to apply for one of their guide dogs.
We've had our program for veterans since 2009. Since we've had that program, we have not lost a single veteran that has one of our dogs in the war against suicide. So it matters, and we need the help.
And Sean is such a great advocate for Southeastern Guide Dogs.
We met him, didn't we?
We have met. Yep, we met him at Bark in the Park, I think.
Yes.
The nonprofit is hosting a challenge for their veterans program where they will match up to $1 million in donations in a fundraising campaign. So if you're interested in receiving one of the 120 dogs that are placed each year, you can visit guidedogs.org. We switch gears now because more than 2 months after he was abducted from South Florida, this 6-year-old boy with autism finally was reunited with his mother last night. It happened at Miami International Airport.
And so tonight we want to show you that moment that the little boy spotted his mom in the airport rushing to give her a huge hug. Watch this.
There are few words to describe the feeling seeing a mother finally holding her son that was taken from her. After months of searching, 6-year-old Jojo Morales is now home.
Like, I've never been in a situation like this, so I thought I was gonna pass out. My heart was turning, you know.
We first reported Jojo Morales' disappearance back in August. Miami-Dade police say he was abducted by his father, George Morales, and his grandmother, Lilia Morales. This video shows Jojo 2 days later inside of a Walgreens store in Maine with his father, and this past weekend they were spotted in a Walmart store in Moncton, New Brunswick, and a woman saw them and called police. Both George and Lilia Morales remain in custody. Investigators are working to get them back to the United States.
CBS Miami reports that Jorge Morales and their grandmother are charged with interfering with custody and concealing a minor.
And private investigators said that the tipster, really did nothing short of ultimately saving that child's life. Good to see. All right, I want to tell you about coming up next year at 5:30. Well, he was one of dozens of people arrested here in Florida. He was accused of voter fraud. Tonight, he's talking about the confusion now surrounding his detainment.